there's other competitors to you. You are, one in 100, maybe, one in 20. But why would they choose you over somebody else? And if you appear to be the least risky option, 9 times out of 10, they'll choose you, even if your price is a little bit higher.
Most of our
Sure.
community, they have the niche, they've nailed that. But then how do you create authority in that niche?
It's a good question. It's a fair question. And I'm obviously, from being a designer, and that's my background, is like, I went to design school, learned how to design, visual communication, really important. But um, I think that really authority building has to do and centered around primarily trust. And trust isn't something that you can design on a piece of paper. A lot of brands tend to spend a lot of time talking about how awesome they are. It's about, I post something, we're awesome. Or even if you post a review, right? Or you design a cool block quote review and you put it up on your Instagram. I mean, that's one kind of step towards helping you build authority, because it's other people endorsing you for trust. I'm going to use the word design in kind of a different way. I would encourage people to design um, opportunities or experiences where other people feature you as the authority. So, for example, I'm really big on leveraging media. Now, I know media kind of has a bad rap right now. That's neither here nor there. But, entrepreneur.com, Wired Magazine, Huffington Post, I used to be a contributor for, Success Magazine. By getting featured in some of these publications, first of all, it's an endorsement directly from that publication to your brand, versus you doing a paid ad saying, hey, we're awesome, we do the X, Y, and Z, da, 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 da. That's us standing up on our soapbox saying we're great. But if someone else is endorsing you, that allows you to build authority. That allows you to leverage that trust. You can put those logos on your website as seen on these places, right? Now, that's something that I've leveraged a lot of to help build authority. For not only myself, but for my clients, getting them featured on some of these publications. And we can go into that if you want to. I can unpack that more as like a strategy is how do you get featured. I could take a minute to talk about
Yeah,
that.
please,
But
please. I think that's important because we know the how, we know the what, but the how is important.
Okay, so I'll give you the how real quick in a very quick nutshell. So one is, first of all, what publications are your audience reading? What are they already engaged in, right? So, for example, I know that the CEOs and the CMOs that are going to hire me, they're engaging on entrepreneur.com, they're reading Success, they're reading Forbes. Great. Okay. I'm going to go to those websites. Here's the homework assignment. Go to those websites, find journalists who are writing about things that are in your niche, things that are specific to the type of journalist that would look at your company and say, hey, this is an interesting write-up. You need to find out who those are. Put their name. Usually they have an author profile. You can grab their email. You can grab their Twitter handle. You can grab whatever social icons from their author profile. Create a spreadsheet, and that's your hit list. Next, what you do is you send them a very personalized email. Let's say it's John at Entrepreneur. Hey, John, this is Aaron Pierson here. I read your article on XYZ. You want to make sure you announce what you read of theirs and why you think that it's in alignment with your brand. And then I simply leave it. The message is very simple. I say, listen, I own a company XYZ. I think that you're going to find some affinity between your writing and the things that we're doing. If there's any way I can ever contribute to an article or be of service to you, please let me know. Leave it at that. You're not sending them a pitch. You're not asking them to be featured directly. What you're doing is you're complimenting them on their body of work. You're putting yourself out there and saying, hey, I'm here if you ever need a story. I can talk on X, Y, and Z, or I can give you data on X, Y, and Z, and you become a source for them. Journalists need sources. You have to be able to provide them value, though. You can't just say, hey, I'd like you to do a write-up on me and essentially do an article advertisement. They're not going to do it. They get messages like that all the time. But you need to create your hit list of journalists who write about your category, your thing, and you need to send them one-off, very personalized emails and start building relationships. What's nice is once you get featured once, then you move it up the chain. Then you take that one feature and you send it to other journalists. Hey, we were just featured on entrepreneur.com. Thought you might find this article interesting because I read your other article here. Let me know if there's any way we can, collaborate together in the future. Things like that. It's a very soft kind of sale. You're not trying to hard sell them to be featured. But I'll tell you what, once you get featured in the media, you can't ever lose that, right? Like, it doesn't get taken away. It's an endorsement from somebody else. Ultimately, that's something that you share with your customers and your audience. Hey, customers, we were just featured here. Check this out. It's a great social media campaign you can do around that. So it's not necessarily you talking about yourself. It's somebody else endorsing you. You're moving it up the chain. You're using it to build trust. You're using it to leverage trust in your customer's mind. I think at the end of the day, customers just want to make sure that if they're doing business with you, that you're the least risky option. There's other competitors to you. You are, one in 100, maybe, 1 in 20. But why would they choose you over somebody else? And if you appear to be the least risky option, 9 times out of 10 they'll choose you, even if your price is a little bit higher, because they know that if they're going to pay for your service or product, that they trust because of the endorsements that you will do a superior job. So that's just to unpack that PR kind of media thing. I think people don't leverage media enough to build authority, and that's one thing that I've done that can never be taken away from Aaron Pierson. No matter what company flag I'm waving or what agency I'm working under, Aaron Pierson has been featured in all of these places. Aaron Pierson has written a best-selling book. Aaron Pierson has a top-rated podcast. Aaron Pierson's traveled the world speaking at events. I know I sound boastful, but that's something that no one can ever take away from me at all. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing, that comes with me. If you're collaborating, and I don't like to say if you're working with me or working for me, I always say collaborate. If I'm collaborating with clients, AKA getting paid by clients, they know that they're getting the package deal. They're getting all of Aaron Pierson, everything that I've ever done. So I think that first you want to build a personal brand around your expertise, and then you allow your company to be the service provider of that thing.
From your actionable steps that you just mentioned.
Shortlist journalists in your space. Yep. First target the media outlets that your audience is already engaged in. That's step one. So if your audience is engaged in or subscribed to newsletters of a certain outlet, those are the outlets that you want to target the journalists in. So target outlets based on customer engagement first. A short list of journalists in your space. Contact them with personalized emails. It's also important in those personalized emails, in the subject line, I usually put regarding, and then I put the name of the article that they most recently wrote, because the open rate on that will be much higher than sending a follow-up like, you got to think of how you're subjecting the email itself. If you subject it to something that they've written, the likelihood of them opening it increases dramatically. Once you get featured once, no one can take that away. Yep. Build momentum. I'm assuming that's what that is.
Yeah.
And that's moving it up the chain is what we call it. So you could move up the chain a blog post. Like, I could take this interview that I'm doing with Omar right now, who has, let's say your audience is 10,000 people or whatever it is, right? And I could then take this and move it up to the next ring of an audience that has 20,000. Then I take that and I move it up and move it up. So you can start with a smaller piece of content and move that up the chain each time until you get to, worldwide news. I mean, national news alone is good, but if you can be featured globally, I mean, that's pretty damn good too. So I do highly recommend. I think that leveraging the media to build trust with your audience is an underutilized strategy across the board, and it's something that I did really well. And then it was a service that I started offering my clients in my consulting practice, is helping them get featured, and then what to do when you do get featured. How do we leverage that and move it up the chain?